The first time I saw him, he punched my fiancée in the face. The second time, he smiled at me like he'd just burned the world for fun. Welcome to New Haven University, where money talks louder than love, and hearts like mine aren't supposed to want boys like him. I wasn't supposed to be here, not like this. Before the accident, I was nobody. A broke barista dreaming about a scholarship I'd never get. Then I woke up in another man's body, Elliot Monroe, the golden heir to a billion-dollar fortune, engaged to the student council president, adored, perfect. On paper, I had everything, except freedom. My fiancé, Nathaniel Green, was the epitome of control. Handsome, polite, adored by professors, and utterly terrifying behind closed doors. Our engagement was an alliance, old money to older money, a merger of families that cared more about reputation than affection. He didn't love me. He owned me. And then came Julian Park, captain of the debate club, scholarship student, son of a single mom, the kind of boy who'd walk into a room and make you forget how to breathe. His confidence was effortless, his charm disarming, and his defiance intoxicating. He was everything Nathaniel wasn't. The first time Julian and Nathaniel clashed, it was over a fundraiser. Nathaniel wanted control. Julian wanted fairness. Words turned sharp, tension turned electric, and suddenly Julian's fist connected with Nathaniel's jaw. Gasps filled the auditorium. I stood frozen. Nathaniel's glare found me before the blood on his lip did. That night, Nathaniel's hand found my wrist too tight, too cold. "You will stay away from him," he hissed. "People like him don't belong in our world." But something inside me rebelled. Maybe it was Elliot's memories whispering of endless pressure and perfect smiles. Maybe it was my own heart, the one that had known hunger, loneliness, longing. For the first time since I'd woken up in this gilded cage, I wanted something that was mine. Julian. He found me 2 days later by the fountain, the campus glowing gold with late afternoon sun. "You didn't say a word that day," he said, tossing a pebble into the water. "I didn't have to." "Yeah, you did." His voice was teasing, but there was a softness behind it. "You looked at me like you wanted to say something." I swallowed. "Maybe I did." He grinned. "Then say it." I didn't, but my silence said enough. From that day, Julian was everywhere: debate club meetings, student events, quiet corners of the library. He'd lean over my shoulder, whisper something clever, and my heart would betray me every damn time. Nathaniel noticed. Of course he did. His smile grew sharper, his touch colder. Every dinner with him felt like dining with a ghost who wanted to haunt me forever. And then came the charity gala. The Monroes were hosting, the Greens were sponsoring, and the entire university elite was attending. I wore a white tuxedo that cost more than my old apartment. Julian wasn't supposed to be there, he was from a different world, but somehow he was in a simple black suit, his tie slightly crooked, his eyes burning through the crowd until they found me. Our eyes met. Time stopped. He crossed the ballroom like a storm breaking through glass, his smile reckless and alive. "You look like you hate it here," he murmured. "I do." "Then leave." It was madness, the kind of line from a movie no one survives. But at that moment I wanted to. Nathaniel appeared before I could answer, his arms sliding possessively around my waist. His lips brushed my ear, a threat disguised as affection. "Smile," he whispered. "The cameras are watching." Julian's jaw tightened, his fists clenched. The tension between them pulsed like lightning. I tried to step between them, but Nathaniel's hand gripped harder. Julian's eyes darkened, and for a brief second, I saw his decision flicker there. He turned away. I didn't see him again that night, or the next. But fate, cruel and poetic, isn't done when hearts break, it waits until they bleed. A week later, I found him again. In the rain, outside the debate hall, his clothes drenched, his hands trembling. He'd just been suspended. Nathaniel's family had made sure of it. A disciplinary review, they called it. Retaliation thinly veiled as justice. He looked at me with fire in his eyes and defeat in his smile. "So this is your world," he said bitterly. "It's not mine," I whispered. He laughed hollow, aching. "Then whose is it, Elliot?" Because it sure as hell doesn't look like it's yours. And then, before I could answer, he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was desperate, rain-soaked, furious, real. My hands trembled against his chest, my heart crashing against ribs that didn't feel like mine anymore. For the first time since waking up in this life, I felt alive. When he pulled away, his voice broke. If you choose him, he said, you'll lose yourself. But if you choose me, you'll lose everything else. I didn't say a word, 'cause I didn't know which loss would hurt more. And that night, standing in the rain with his lips still burning on mine, I realized something horrifyingly beautiful. Love doesn't always wait for the right moment. Sometimes it crashes into your life, uninvited, unwanted, undeniable. And when it does, you have to decide if you'll survive it. The next morning, the rain had stopped, but my world hadn't. Nathaniel's family called a meeting. Not with him, with me. The Monroes and Greens sat around a mahogany table so polished it reflected their disgust. Their words sliced cleaner than knives. You've embarrassed us. A disgrace. Fix this, or the engagement is off. That last one should have sounded like freedom. Instead, it sounded like war. When I walked out of that mansion, I wasn't Elliot Monroe the heir anymore. I was a boy wearing someone else's skin, standing between two worlds that didn't want him. And I made my choice. I ran. Julian's dorm was on the far side of campus, small and unassuming, with peeling paint and a crooked mailbox that had his name written in black marker. I found him sitting on the steps, textbooks beside him, rainwater still glistening on his shoes. He looked up. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you, I said softly. You're suspended because of me. He shrugged. They were always going to find a reason. We stared at each other, the silence heavy enough to break something. I told them, I said finally. His brows furrowed. Told them what? That I love you. His breath hitched. For once, Julian Park, the unshakable, brilliant club leader, had no words. His lips parted, but no sound came out. You're insane, he whispered finally, standing to face me. Do you even know what you've done? Yes. I stepped closer. And I'd do it again. He laughed, short and disbelieving. You think love is enough? Your family... Not my family, I interrupted louder now. Not anymore. That was the first time he saw me, really saw me, not as the perfect heir or the boy behind the expensive suits, but as the person trapped inside. His eyes softened. The storm in his face faded into something gentler. He exhaled slowly. You're out of your mind. Probably, I said, smiling faintly. But I'm free. Julian pulled me into his arms, and for a fleeting moment, nothing else mattered. Not the money, not the names, not the eyes that would judge or the headlines that would burn. Just us, two boys in love, standing in the soft morning light, holding on like the world might end if they didn't. But the world doesn't end. It gets crueler before it gets kind. The story broke 2 days later. Heir to Monroe Empire caught in gay scandal. Photos, rumors, lies. My face plastered across every social feed. My parents disowned me within hours. Nathaniel, cold as ice, released a statement calling me unstable. Julian's scholarship was revoked. His mother was harassed. The university threatened to expel him. We became America's newest tragedy, the rich boy and the rebel, destroyed by love. He wanted to run. We can disappear, he said. Go west. Start over. But I couldn't. Not yet. I'd lived my whole life, my 2 lives, running from pain. This time I needed to face it. So I did something Elliot Monroe never would have done. I went live. Sitting in front of a camera, I told the truth. About the engagement, the lies, the control, the way love had shown me who I really was. I was raised to believe image was everything, I said. But what's the point of living a perfect life if you can't live it honestly? I'm not ashamed of who I love. You shouldn't be either. The video spread like wildfire. There was hate, of course, oceans of it. But there was also love. Messages from strangers, from students, from people who said they finally saw themselves in someone like me. And then, amid the chaos, Julian disappeared. I found him the next night in the debate hall, the same place we'd first met. The same place that started it all. The banners were gone. The lights were dim. He sat on the stage, hands buried in his hair. "You shouldn't have done that," he said when I approached. "They're destroying you." I sat beside him. "Maybe, but they can't erase us." He looked at me, eyes glassy with exhaustion. "You really think we can survive this?" I took his hand. "No," I said honestly, "but I think we can live through it." That was all it took. One laugh, one tear, one kiss in the dark. And for the first time, it wasn't desperate. It was peace. Months passed. The storm didn't fade overnight, but we did what people do when the world ends. We rebuilt. Julian fought his way back, winning his case and his scholarship. He stood before the university board with fire in his eyes and said, "You can't punish someone for who they love." His courage made headlines. Mine became a footnote. That was fine. I didn't need to be the story anymore. We moved off campus together, into a small apartment with leaky pipes and a window that caught the morning sun just right. I worked with an LGBTQ+ foundation, using what was left of my inheritance to fund scholarships. Julian graduated with honors. We built a life from the ashes, imperfect, humble, real. Sometimes we'd walk past the fountain where we first talked, our fingers brushing, our hearts calm. No more hiding, no more fear. Just two boys who had broken every rule and survived to love another day. One evening, as the sun sank behind the old library, Julian looked at me and said, "Do you ever regret it? Losing everything?" I thought about the mansion, the name, the life that never truly belonged to me. Then I looked at him, his messy hair, his crooked smile, the warmth in his eyes. Not for a second. He smiled, shaking his head. "You're still insane. And you still love me." Unfortunately, we both laughed loud, free, alive. And in that golden light, with his hand in mine, I finally understood what rebirth really meant. It wasn't about waking up in another life. It was about choosing this one, choosing love, truth, and the courage to be seen. Years later, our photo would hang on the wall of New Haven University's New Equality Center, two young men standing side by side at graduation, laughing like the world hadn't once tried to tear them apart. The plaque beneath it would read, "For those who loved against all odds and taught us that courage is just another name for love." Julian liked to joke that the picture made his hair look terrible. I liked to remind him that I'd fallen for that hair in the first place. And somewhere, between laughter and memory, between what we lost and what we found, I knew the truth that the boy I became wasn't the heir they created, but the man he helped me find. Because in the end, love didn't just save us. It made us real. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.